Unfortunately, the federal government has a lot of sway on the border. In Arizona, most of that land that you're going to see on the border belongs to either reservations or federal government. Very little is private land, which makes it very tough for us as Arizona to secure our own border as well. And then you have Texas, where they put the barbed wire out, and then they started cutting the barbed wire. And then the judge says, don't cut the barbed wire. So what does he do? They bring forklifts out and they lift the barbed wire. Look, this government is hell-bent on letting anybody and everybody into this country. And now we have all these Chinese nationals coming in. And this should be alarming, because China doesn't just let you out of their country. It's a communist country. So these folks that are coming here are clearly being sanctioned by China. And, to boot, we've had, several Chinese police, makeshift Chinese police headquarters found in this country. So we got a real problem. And one more thing, thank you for sharing a scripture, because honestly, we're going to need God to fix this problem.
Well, that's for sure, Sheriff Lamb. This is David Brody in D.C. Let me ask you about President Trump and what he says about the border. He says close the border down. That's what he would do when he becomes president again in 2025. And, of course, I 100% agree with that. The question then becomes how do you do it? How do you do it exactly? I mean, the border is wide open in places, obviously. So what are some steps when he says close the border? What does that look like? How is that accomplished specifically?
Look, under President Trump, we saw the most success, 400,000 apprehensions in the last year he was president. Since this administration has come in and completely bungled the situation, it is gone. It's at its worst point now. It's not getting any better. It's progressively getting worse, which is hard to say. The things that President Trump would do was reinstate those policies that he already had working. Remain in Mexico. If you come across the border, you should be held accountable. We don't let these folks close the gaps in the wall, finish the wall, put more Border Patrol agents out there, turn them loose, let them do their job. I mean, the list goes on and on of things that they can do. President Trump has shown he knows what to do. And, look, we need that back. We need somebody who understands what it takes, which is why I'm running for Senate, because we can't just have anybody running for Senate now. We need people that understand the issues we're dealing with, and border crime are two of those major issues, and national security and economy. So these are things that we need people to go back to Washington and fight. Hopefully people will come support me at sherifflamforsenate.com.
I'm glad you mentioned that you're running, because I think to a lot of Americans, especially as we watch the left, and they're just unbelievable. At moments we thought we'd never see their antics and evil acts. I think a lot of Americans, when they hear that somebody like you is running against somebody like Kari Lake, they feel sort of frustrated that, why divide right now? Can't you all decide one of you is going to run and one of you is going to do something else or run next time? And so can you lay out for the American people who want to know why you're running against Kari Lake?
Well, first of all, I always say I'm not running against her. I was in the race in April of this year. And so she jumped in much later in the race. We had a great conversation at Mar-a-Lago last December where she encouraged me to run. And, my wife and I started down that road, felt very compelled to do it, felt very called to do it. And so we're in this race because we felt called to do it. We're both passionate about Arizona. We want to save Arizona. We want to save America. And, look, I'm just running the race that I have ahead of me. I've won 2 elections, and I know that the way to do that is to put your head down and focus on the issues that the people of Arizona and America are struggling with. And right now, those kitchen table items are border, like I said, border, crime, economy, national security. And I've spent the last 20 years as a police officer reducing crime. I've worked hard over the last 7 years to fight this border crisis, especially now under Joe Biden. I've managed a budget of over $60 million and stayed within that budget, unlike the federal government who can't seem to figure out how to balance a budget. So, there's a Danish saying that says, where there is the ability, there is the responsibility. So I'm here and I'm responsible.